Here's a bird's eye view of downtown Toronto. You can see some snow still covering the ground there, but not much in the way of precipitation or coverage on the roads. Now that's a different story. It's going to be later today on Thursday. This afternoon, it's 1 degree in Toronto. Feels like -5. It's a little bit below seasonal. Should be closer to about 4 or 5, but there is going to be a warm up on the weekend, and it might be a historical day in terms of temperatures. When we're talking about the precipitation forecast, you saw that little blue swath coming in through. Now, along the shores of Lake Ontario in through the GTA, but if you're traveling along the 401 corridor heading west or coming from the west into Toronto, you could see some treacherous driving conditions throughout. Of course, the traditional snow belts could see more accumulations of snow, blowing snow. Nothing that's going to stick per se in through the GTA. And well, we have this system pushing on through for Saturday, which is going to bring rainfall accumulations upwards of 30 millimeters of that rain through the GTA. You can see those greens, the deeper colors, but again, it's going to be quite windy. Now, upwards of 70 wind gusts could be seen along the shores of Lake Ontario, so quite gusty. We have seen a few gusty days recently, but this is probably going to be the windiest. So if you do have any ornaments or any decorations, make sure that they are secured and properly fastened. Bring anything indoors, any pillows, any lawn chairs or anything that you have out on your balconies. Now, time now for Share Your Weather.
Well, very glad you could join us on the Weather Network. It is Thursday, December the 9th. Time for In the Know, and in for Nadine Powell, Marta Czurylowicz. Very glad you could join us today. Marta, by the way, before we get to one of the stories to talk about, I just want to show you a photo right now in Canada. But before Nathan was shoveling, he's been busy filing stories.
Right, he's been packaging a report about food prices, and the findings might not be exactly what you want to hear.
Certainly the ripple effects will be clearly seen if they haven't already. So our poll question today is warm temperatures and strong winds. All those details to come. Now you're in the know.
Not much in the way of, well, accumulating snow. We do have a system coming on through, and it's going to be bringing some gusty conditions and lots of rain. But the temperature will reach up to double-digit temperatures. Again, could be a historic day in terms of temperatures. Let's talk about today, though. Thursday afternoon, 1 degree, feels like -5. As I mentioned, the temperatures right around seasonal for this time of year, closer to about 4 or 5, which is what seasonal is for this time of year, so hovering around the freezing mark. When we're talking about the commute, though, this evening, that swath of blue that was could bring some accumulating snow along the 401 corridor, which could make for a little bit of a tricky drive. So if you're heading into Kitchener or coming from the southwestern Ontario, be sure to be cautious, and just, if you see snow, go slow, of course. In through the GTA, just trace amounts of that snow, not much in the way of accumulation. Friday looks to be a little bit of a break, but when we're talking about Saturday, so Friday night into Saturday, lots of that rainfall, upwards of 30 millimeters of that rain for parts of the GTA. It's going to be quite gusty as well, upwards of 70 wind gusts along the shores of Lake Ontario, the shores of Lake Huron. Now, when we're talking about winter, there are some words that you need to know. Here is Jesse Uppel with 5 winter words.
Well, here we are, Storm Center coverage. We've got a in the Mets version today, and Marta's going to take care of Ontario and Quebec because a lot of wild weather. Kevin, I know you're itching to talk about BC because we've got wind, rain, and snow, but I'm going to start off with the East Coast. This was the scene in Halifax last night. Further west now, how are we looking, Marta?
Well, in Ontario, it's a story of snow, and from one Coleman to another, the story for this evening throughout Ontario. You could see more of a snowier commute in through the traditional snow belt regions. The 401 corridor could see some of that snow, blowing snow, of course, so make sure that you are well aware, and of course, I hope you have your winter tires on. When we're talking Friday, not much in the way of active weather per se. However, it's in through Saturday that we have some rain, strong winds, and double-digit temperatures, and in through Quebec, you saw that little freezing rain and that ice as well. And as I mentioned, those wind gusts along the shores of Lake Ontario, upwards of 80 km, so very gusty. Make sure that you have your snow ornaments and all that secure. Kevin, what's going on in the west?
Well, the west, they're going to try to hold their own with the east coast. We have this low that's riding over millimeters of rain right across the lower mainland.
Country, well, it looks like the GTA is probably the only area in the country that doesn't really have snow on the ground per se, when much of the country is looking at it. Let's take a look at the temperatures for this afternoon. 1 degree, which is right around seasonal for this time of year, should be closer to about 4. Now, when we're talking about the temperatures, it feels like -5, so it's a little bit chilly. Not much in the way of any precipitation just yet, but when we're talking about the evening commute, that's where things could get a little bit sticky if you are traveling along the 401 corridor west, heading either to Kitchener or from there through the traditional snowbelt region. Again, trace amounts of snow through the GTA. However, not much to stay sticking on the ground. Friday looking to be a break, not much in the way of precipitation until Saturday, when it gets really rainy and quite windy, and we're talking about wind gusts along the shores of Lake Ontario, upwards of 70 kilometers along the shores of Lake Huron. Those where you can see lots of those gusts and quite gusty conditions. So if you do have any ornaments or lawn, I guess, fixtures out there for Christmas, make sure that they are buckled down, or if you feel just because it's going to be one of the gustier days that we've seen in comparison to, let's say, a couple days ago when it was quite gusty. Looking at the 7-day forecast again, as I mentioned, Saturday looks to be that rainy day, but look at that temperature, 10 degrees above normal. Now, if you don't have your winter tires on just yet, you should probably do that.